All right, Bull Brigade, let's talk about preseason game 2. While there's not a lot to talk about that's positive, I want to address a bigger problem that could arise with the Chargers. If they don't get it right, it could derail the season. Let's get into it. How cliche. When things are going good, that is right on time. When it's going bad, you just shake your head at that statement. Who got it better than us right now? A lot of people, to be quite frankly and honest. And I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm not going to hold back. It is time for a reckoning. It is time for the judgment to come. It is time to discuss exactly what is wrong with the Chargers or what could potentially be wrong with the Chargers if they don't get it right and fix it now. It is the preseason, yes. We haven't played any real games yet, yes. But this problem is growing, and it has been an issue in spots and places throughout the entirety of the Harbaugh regime. So I feel like we got big problems in LA, and we might just go viral today because, again, I'm not feeling like I'm being PC today. I'm going to tell it like it is, and not like it is going to be some truth serum given out here today, in all honesty. Starting with this preseason game, again, like I said in the intro, it was in a lot of positive to glean from this. It was a total lackluster effort from the team, top to bottom, starting with the coaches, all the way down to the last man on the roster. It was complete lack of effort. I'm not even sure why they showed up to the game if they want to play this bad, right? Again, you can't, I understand that it's a preseason, but you can't get beat 41-17. And 7 of those points, or 6 of them, that mind you, were given up by our pick 6. So I don't get a lot of positivity out of this. It's not a lot to put the half full mythology on it, glass half full mythology. It's not a lot to put there. I think we just need to understand that the glass is leaking. And if you don't put a stop to it, it's going to bleed over to the season and ultimately derail any aspirations, let me put it that way, of what the Chargers had going into this 2026 campaign. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm not sure if we're going to get to it all today. I might have to do this in a couple of segments, but we're going to try to do our best. We're going to try to do our best because I don't want to leave you hanging, but we got a lot to say. So like I said, there's big problems in LA, and it's definitely on the Chargers side of SoFi Stadium. So starting with this particular game, Again, I don't have anything positive to say, really. It's very small little tidbits, things you can pull out of this particular performance, but it's not much, in all honesty. I really thought it was an embarrassing outing. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the concerns I have from top to bottom. Like I said, the aftermath after the game, how they spilled over into practice. And we're going to talk about some training camp news as well. There are some positive to what happened in training camp, and some people coming back, but the training camp and practice in general is not going well since the game. So it's weird dynamic. The team has gone from, it's a Jekyll and Hyde thing. They were playing really well against them in inter squad scrimmage, or I guess you can say, well, I don't even know what the terminology you call for now, but they inter squad scrimmages they had with the 49ers prior to the game. Which I always thought that was interesting that they do that. You practice against the team all week and then you play against them in preseason. It's weird. It's preseason, so I guess you're a method of going against somebody else and getting a look. Even coming up through the ranks with high school and college, from my perspective, we might have scrimmaged teams, but we didn't practice against them all week, so they can exactly know how we operate, how we move, give them all the nuances and tricks to the idea of what the team is like. And then when you get on the field for the actual game, and it's a complete and total flip of what the outcome was in practice. Because we were having our way, air quote, with defense, especially for the 49ers and on the offensive side. And the offense was completely, utterly anemic in the game. They let the offense in the boat. They really did. It's a travesty. It was a travesty. So we're going to start there. Like I said, the offense was embarrassing outing. It was a total lack of effort. I feel like they were going through the motions. The entire team, some individuals flashed, but not many people had a good day, in all honesty. You look at the stat sheet if you think I'm putting sauce on it, let's put it that way. And then you have special teams blunders. Let me know exactly what time it was. When J.K. Scott whiffed on that tackle, I know you're a punter. I understand it's the preseason, sir, but you got to do something better than that. Put a shoulder in him, do something. Again, I don't get the idea of what he did. Or why would you even bother walking up to the conversation if you're not even going to put a forth effort to tackle the man? Now, granted, the other 10 guys shouldn't have let it get to that point because the punishment will be the last line of defense, air quote. But if you're gonna run up like you're gonna make a play, make a play. Don't give me this Olay BS. I just don't understand. I don't understand. So that was bad. Cameron Dicker missing extra points. When has he done that in his career? That's wild. So it's a lot. There's a lot of ugliness coming out of this game. So again, special teams blunders and all that good jazz. It was a lot. It was a lot. And like I said, just seeing what the offense looked like and how anemic it was, with Mike McDaniel being the, I guess you can say, golden goose of this particular conversation, him being the guy of highly sought after offensive mind. It just seems as if between his play calling and the effort of the players, they melded in. They melded in. I don't get what you were trying to accomplish here by this effort that you put forth on that particular Thursday, but it was not cute. It was not cute at all. It really was not. Again, I just don't understand why they even bother getting out of the car when he got to the stadium. They just stay in the car at this point. Just forfeit the game. Wave the white flag. You probably would say better face than coming out there getting beat 41-17 and having some injuries to boot. Because there's some injuries we got to talk about too. The guys that got banged up in this game that could affect, I guess you can say, the conversation of what the team's going to look like in week 1. So it was just bad. It was total embarrassment of every level. Special teams, defense, offense, coaching, play calling, everything was utterly bad. Why did you bother showing up if you want to put forth that effort? And I don't know, I'm not in that locker room, but I do know football. I've been around many football locker rooms, coaching and playing in my lifetime, and I the vibe of what things are like. Again, and you should have been confident. I understand the Tyler Biadasz injury was substantial. It was deafening. It was a shock to your system, right? But you're not dead at all. You drafted his replacement in the draft. So you just accelerating his growth. So why would you be concerned about that? So I can't grasp by any means why everybody was locked and loaded and completely dialed into the idea of playing this game and try to prove your worth. Because there's some guys on this roster that are on the bubble. Let's be clear. You're not guaranteed a roster spot. If you're trying to fight to be on this team or any other team for that matter, your effort and your film is going to show. People are going to look at that first. They're not going to come to practice and scout you and do these things. And they might call about you when you might be on the bubble or the cut list or maybe a trade. But again, what you put on film, what people can see nationally is what they're going to go off of. So I don't get the idea of you being mediocre or just not playing your best when your job could be on the line. That didn't make any sense to me either. I just didn't really get it. Again, it's the entire team morale was completely in the toilet from start to finish, from the coin flip. It was ugly. It was ugly. Again, like I said, this particular team, this particular regime of Harbaugh's tenure here, they don't give up these type of things. They typically are very disciplined teams that don't give up plays like we've been accustomed to in past regimes of coaching. I can go all the way back. I'm not even going to do it. Just say Staley and other people, you had problems on special teams and other places just giving up silly and dumb plays that shouldn't happen. And it's happening again. It's bleeding over again into this team. So it's just weird. So that just tells me it's a real total big time lack of effort on the team. And I don't like it. I really don't like it. Again, you could argue that maybe the preseason's too long, all this type of jazz. But if there's out there to play and you're trying to make the roster, you need to go play. And everybody from top to bottom, outside of maybe a few guys, we'll give credit to Jake Slaughter. He played well. I would give credit again to Travis Burke, who I've been talking about vehemently since he was drafted. Justin Boydby, he had the limited snaps he got in the first quarter. He played well. He just seemed to be unblockable, period. And a few other people were skeptical about them drafting him 2 years ago. But man, ever since he's been with this team and how he has ascended year 2 and year 3, I've been gushing over the fact that he's improved drastically. He could be a Pro Bowl level defensive tackle if he's going to play at this clip every game or majority of them. Again, and Terrell Edwards, shout out to him. He's going to make it really difficult for this team to cut him. They're going to make it really difficult for him to cut him because he's been playing lights out. Again, I can't give you all the logistics of every rep in practice, but when I see him in the game, he's a problem. Double team, single team, double team, it doesn't matter. He is getting to the football. He's getting in the backfield. He's causing havoc. And no matter who he's going against, ones or twos, it doesn't matter. He's causing problems. So he's going to make it really difficult for the likes of Dalvin Thompson, who's elder statesman, when Taraz younger and has more upside. Now I'm just looking at that perspective because I know Justin, Jamari, and T rosters spots are solid. And where's the depth come from after that? Clearly, Dalvin Thompson was brought in to be one of those guys. But again, how many interior D linemen are you going to keep? I would imagine 5, maybe 6. So again, I think Terrell Edwards is the leading dog right now is a reserve for sure. So shout out to him. But that's Junior Colson. I'm not going to leave him out. Had a pick 6, obviously. He read it perfectly and ran it in. The quarterback panicked because he got blitz in his face, and he threw an errant pass, and Junior took it to the house. But he's put on 2 weeks of good, solid film in its entirety. So I definitely give him that. But I would argue that outside of that, everybody else held it in. Jonathan Smith was still looking pretty good in coverage as well. I'm not going to say pretty good. He looked really good in coverage. But My concern still is his tackling, because I seen him go after a couple of tackles and he was ankle biting out there. And I'm sorry. You got to prove to me, sir, that you are going to be able to make a one-on-one tackle above the ankles. Because you can't sit here and try to, actually, you can say, nitpick or bite at people's feet and think you're going to tackle people in this league. You're not. You're going to have to tackle like RJ Mickens. RJ Mickens puts his nose in the business, and he tackles you, and he can bring you down by himself. Wide receiver, tight end, running back, it does not matter. He can bring you down. Again, it's above 6 foot tall, above 200 pounds, with a run of 4.4, he can jump out of the gym. He is everything that Genesis Smith needs to be if he really wants to make an impact on his team. From I guess you can say, a talent perspective. Now, granted, he has instincts, he's athletic, he really good in coverage, but that's not all it is to be a safety in this league, sir. So you're going to have to prove to me that you can make a good one-on-one tackle, and you're not going to shy away from it if you're called upon. If somebody comes across the middle and it's you and him and getting a first down or a touchdown, I need to know that you can make these tackles. And I haven't seen it yet. But we will get to that, and we'll keep monitoring that. But that's my concern about him, especially him being the Air Corps fifth safety, because I'm sure they're going to keep the three, Derwin, Elijah, and Tony, and RJ, in my opinion. So is he going to be the fifth safety they're going to keep? I don't know. But you did draft him, so you want to keep him and don't want to void that rookie deal. But him being good in coverage is not enough. I'm still on that train. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Getting back to the offense real quick, man, I just really had a big-time problem with the offense in its entirety. Again, I said they stayed at the boat because they were flying high and doing great things at the boat against the 49ers. Joint practice is what they call it. That name said joint practice. I'm going back to that again. In the joint practice that they had against the 49ers, they were great. They stayed at the boat, and they did not bring the offense with them. It's like they left the playbook there and brought some generic vanilla stuff there that didn't work. And another big problem I have, too, in the first 2 weeks of this particular season, they give Mike McDaniel a lot of praise for his outside zone schemes and his running ability, but the running game is look like trash in the first 2 weeks. Only person that's really getting off from a rushing perspective is one of the quarterbacks. The quarterback led the team in rushing in game 2. And it was close in that regard last week, but Eric Patterson, I think, might have been the one. I think he had about 5 yards of carry last week. Every time he touched the ball, he got about 5 carries for 25 yards, 5 yards a carry. But everybody else struggled. Of course, Mario Hampton hadn't played yet, or probably won't. But Kamani Vidal, Keaton Mitchell, Amari Johnson, everybody that's ran the ball in this particular offense, they haven't been able to get anywhere. Now, mind you, is that the play calling, or is that the offensive line effort and the combinations they've been using? Because I would argue that the combination they had, the left side was good, and they seem to have pretty solid movement on the left side when they had Travis Burke, Jake Slaughter, and Spooner playing the 3 positions on that left side. But that right side was porous, and it's been porous, no matter who you put over there. You put, I guess you can say, put Trevor Penning over there at one point, a few other people, Clattenburg, some other guys they put in spaces on that side, and they've not gotten it done at all. It's been looking real bad on that right side. So I think he need to figure out a better combination of what works in game 3 to make it look a little better. Or I'm really concerned about what the run game is going to look like in the 2026 campaign. I really am, because it's not looking good. Now, mind you, Rashad Slater and Joe Alt are not out there. I get it. Tyler Biadasz is hurt, most likely for the season. He's on season-ending IR, I believe. But what's the interior O-line going to look like? I'm going to get in on Cole Strange in a minute. I'm not going to let you get off the hook with that. Y'all know I've been on Cole Strange Air Corps rear end since he's been signed with this particular team. So I'm going to get on his case in a minute. But just from a combination perspective, putting the better combinations that work better cohesively together in game 3 should be a goal for Mike McDaniel in that offense. Because it looks really bad. You got pieces that work well. You got a couple of pieces here. The guard and tackle might work, or the center guard might work, but the rest of the line together doesn't look good. They can't move the ball in the run game. They can't make any lanes. It's bad, and that's getting concerning for me. You can say, well, maybe they're just playing possum in the preseason. They're not going to avail a whole lot. But just systemically, schematically, what you're doing up front as far as moving bodies is not working. A lot of people whiffing on blocks. A lot of people getting railroaded. They're getting beat. Cole Strange in particular, in this particular game. Now, I find it funny that this whole Tyler Biadasz injury revealed the idea of what I've been saying about Cole Strange, but again, we'll talk about that in a minute. But overall, man, I just think that this is a big-time problem, and then the question you have to ask yourself is this a preseason thing or underlying issue? Do we really still have issues with running the football, which we've had for years? I mean, we would argue that we probably had a good running game since LaDainian Tomlinson, if we're being honest about it. Melvin Gordon had 1,000-yard season since LaDainian Tomlinson. Think about that. We've had 1,000-yard rusher since LaDainian Tomlinson, and he hadn't played with the Chargers since early 2010s. Just let that sink in for you. Let that sink in. But yet again, I'm not going to get in the weeds of that. I'm just going to put that stat out there for you and let it marinate. But regardless of the fact that there's still a problem here, and we thought it was going to be fixed, and we had high hopes for Mario Hampton and running back group going into the season, right? We said that we could have 1,000-yard, maybe another 800-yard rusher behind him, but if they can't move the ball with the combination they have, especially after losing Tyler Biotis, then what is it going to mean? What is it going to mean? We don't know. But yet again, we'll wait and see. It is the preseason, but I still believe that these particular habits and these particular ideologies may not change depending on who's going to be playing week one. Moving on to the defense. The defense got exposed real bad. They gave up 41 points. Damn, what are we doing out here? Now, mind you, again, you want to say it's the preseason, still learning, still backups and all this good jazz. But let me give y'all a nice quick tidbit about Jesse Minter and Chris O'Leary's schemes, right? Because I told y'all and before in my videos that Chris O'Leary is a disciple of Jesse Minter's system. They run pretty much the same system. So it shouldn't be, one, for the people that have been here, it shouldn't be a culture shock. It shouldn't be a complete utter revamp or relearning of a new system, right? It's the same system, same ideology, right? Maybe you change a few terminologies, a few things here and there from a naming convention perspective, but the scheme is the same. It's the same. So the idea of you not being able to play fast or not being able to know the system or be learning on the go shouldn't be a thing. Only the new guys should have problems with this. And you see even the older or incumbent guys struggling in game 2 against the Niners. And I'll say this, I just got to say it now, it's really on my mind, it's really been bugging me. If you had such a good week in practice when it comes down to the idea of what the coaching staff hung their hats on throughout the week, that should have carried over to the game. But the delineation and the difference is between the coaches. If you are Kyle Shanahan and you had a rough week of practice against the Chargers, you dig into your team, you let them know that they are by no circumstances or no avenues of playing in this preseason game will come out and play like that. You're going to have to give a better effort. And you should have preached the same momentum or same ideology in the Chargers locker room, saying that we need to build on what we had during the week and make it even better, look better, and polish it better so it makes it more cohesive in the game. And it was completely utterly 180 of a thing. The 49ers ascended and the Chargers completely utterly regressed. So that right there is messaging and coaching. But I got something more to say about that in a minute. But I just want to put that out there now to let y'all simmer on that before I dig into it deep. But getting back to Jesse Minter and Chris O'Leary for a minute, like I said, their particular ideology and their philosophies are the same. And this is the glaring problem. Between Jesse Minter's defense and Chris O'Leary's defense is one thing that is still completely, utterly the same no matter who's calling the plays. This particular scheme, this particular ideology, this particular methodology of playing defense requires maximum effort. If you do not give up maximum effort in this defense on every play in every game, you're going to have games like this. Let's harken back to last year, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Washington. They ran all over us. They walked up and down the field on us because of what? Tired, lack of effort, didn't show up to play that day, and guess what? Injuries to a degree, you had a big-time problem, and they walked the dog on you. So yet again, same problem. The 49ers come in, they're not playing no games with you. They're going to run their scheme. They're going to run their plays. Kyle Shanahan is going to call it like it's a real game. And guess what? You come in half-step and you don't play well and you don't give a maximum effort, you're going to get dog walking. That's what happened. That's what happened. With Jesse Minter's defense, it happens with Chris O'Leary's defense. It's the same scheme, different play caller. That's really all it is. Same exact playbook, ladies and gentlemen. So if you ever see the Chargers get dog walk in the 2026 season, you're going to pinpoint the idea of who didn't give effort that day, or holistically the defense didn't come to play. If you don't come to play and play every down, that's when you're going to give up plays. And that's how this score got so out of hand. Because they are built to make it work and schematically make it work as long as you give it maximum effort. If you do not and play your role and do exactly what your job is, you're going to give up points. And you're going to give up yards, first downs, and points in that order. It is what it is. So that's the glaring problem that you have for Jesse Minter's defense and or Chris O'Leary's defense, or none. So defense, if you're listening, you got to come to play every week, every day. If you don't, the points are going to ring up on the scoreboard and not in your favor. So that's it. Getting to the practice after game 2 was another problem. Saturday, more the same. Offense was struggling, out of sync. Overall vibe and morale seemed down. It was a mess. It was a mess. Justin Herbert didn't look like himself. The offensive line struggled to block everybody up front. Khalil Mack, Justin Boyd B, Jamar Caldwell, and Keem Mesidor were wreaking havoc all up front all day long, beating everybody's brow left and right. It was a massacre. It was a massacre. It really was. Now, the funny to me that, again, the defense came to play. They should have had that effort in the game on Thursday, but they came to play. But guess what? The offense looked like total and complete trash. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, it bled over. And that's the type of thing you can't have. That's the type of thing you can't have, because me as a coach, me as a player, I've experienced as a coach. We play bad in a game, preseason or regular season. Practice the next day was not fun. The next day we had practice was not fun. Coach made it a point that y'all want to give that type of effort in the game, practice is going to be that much harder. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that the coaches did not echo that message clearly, because guess what? They had the same type of morale problems in practice the very next day. That should not happen. You should hold yourself accountable as a player and say, I'm going to practice better and get better next week from day one. That's problem one. And problem two, the coaches should hold you accountable as well, even more so, and say, hey, we failed you as coaches. You failed us as players. We failed as a team. We got to get better and start to practice. We need to have a focus and good practice the very next practice. If you don't have that, problem's going to bleed over and to be systemically an issue going forward because you have not addressed the elephant in the room, obviously. So that's the problem you have there. So that's an issue, and it hadn't been cleaned up yet. And I'm waiting for a good practice because I haven't seen any word of that yet. So we'll see this week. We'll see how things flow. But the last two practices over the weekend was not pretty at all. It was not. So that leads me to the overall issue and what the concern is for me, top to bottom. I really think that starting with the coaching staff all the way down to the last guy on the depth chart, it's a problem. I think we have a morale problem with this team. I really do. Now, so you have to ask yourself, what's the issue? Where's this coming from? Where's it stem from? The reason for all of this. So do you have to look at the coaching staff first? You got to go with the leadership, right? Is the coaching or the ideology of Harbaugh? Is the Harbaugh effect or Harbaugh way outdated? Is this a growing problem that's going to continue to get worse? Is the messaging not resonating? Because I'll be clear about this. They said this is the reason why John, his brother, got fired in Baltimore. His messaging got stale. The people weren't responding to it. He wore it as welcome, though his way was not hitting with the younger players anymore. Is that a problem with Jim? Do we have to really consider that as being an issue? Is the coaching philosophy outdated? Is it wrong? Is it off? Is it not going to work with this group? That is the question. You have some old school mentality guys in Erwin James and Khalil Mack and those guys who like to be coach hard, like to play for coaches that are really gritty like this. But if your whole 53-man roster is bought into that idea or ideology, then it's not going to work. It's not. So we have to really mark that as a air quote problem. And is it going to be something that's going to continue to resonate or bleed into the regular season? It is a conversation. It really is a conversation. So is this going to be an issue for the Chargers in 2026? Is it? And we have to really look at the conversation. Is Harbaugh going to be able to get to the promised land? We thought when we came in, he was going to be the air quote person to do what hadn't been done with the previous regime of coaches that we've had ever since Schottenheimer, quite honestly. Ever since Mike Schottenheimer, we haven't really had a coach that really drove in that messaging and had people really locked and loaded on what we were doing as a team. And this is the first time. But again, it's a new era, new day, new game, new mentality of players that we have. The players of old days, in the 80s, 90s, 2000s are not the same as the 2010 kids. They're just not. So you got to ask yourself, is the messaging or the philosophy or the coaching mentality outdated? Is it a question? Because again, if you're having morale issues and you have effort issues in the preseason, and you had effort issues in your first 2 years of your coaching tenure here and lapses and problems in certain conversations, then it may just fall on the idea that people just get tired. Are you working these guys too hard? Are you pushing them to the metal, pushing them to the limit too much, too fast, too quickly, and they're getting burnt out? There's a lot of things to be in, I guess you can say, considered in this particular conversation. But this is something that needs to be monitored. It really does. Because again, you had these blowouts in the regular season, you had these blowouts in the preseason, and very few people get blown out in the preseason, period. If you look at the scores throughout the league in the first 2 weeks, the margin of victory has not been this great, I don't believe, in any game but this one. So that should tell you exactly what is going on mentally with the players, for sure. If we had to put these kids into a air quote truth serum conversation or a lie detector, would they confess the idea they just get burnt out with Harbaugh's way of doing things? This is a bit old school. It is a bit old school. Really pushes you to your episodic max, in a sense. So you have to consider it. It really could be a thing. And that really could be the thing that could hold this team from getting deep into the playoffs and to the Super Bowl, because they have that type of talent. Will a coaching methodology be the problem in game? We'll see. But I'm monitoring that as a problem. That could be the ultimate thing that really could derail the team in 2026. Moving on to training camp news real quick. Sean Slater returned back to practice on Saturday, doing individual drills, not doing team drills yet. So that's promising, and that is a step in the right direction where he's starting back to practice, and he's gotten over what he's been working through, as Harbaugh has been saying. He's been working through some things, so he's slowly but surely ramping himself back up to get back into practice fully. He has some injuries in the game. I'm not sure if they're going to be long-term, but Branson Taylor has a shoulder. I think KLS took a really bad hit to his ribs, and Brendan Thompson went out in the game as well, undisclosed, but he's questionable now. And I think that all three of these guys was going to factor into the idea of being contributors to this offense in 2026. So I'm monitoring this because I'm worried, because I'm looking at Branson Taylor as being a guy that could ultimately win that left guard spot if he's healthy. But if he's not healthy, that's going to be a problem as well because you're going to have to lean on the guy that I'm really not a fan of. So we'll see. But hopefully the KLS and Brendan Thompson aren't hurt long term and they can get back on the field at some point. Now, I would argue that you're probably going to shut them down for the rest of the preseason, maybe, especially if they're hurt now. We want them healthy for week 1, for sure. So we want to get them back on the field as swiftly as possible and healthy and whole. So we'll continue to monitor those particular situations, but those are the 3 big injury things that happened in the preseason game, too, that we should monitor and keep our eyes on. And lastly, I think I am going to get to it. I'm just a little bit long in the video, but I'm going to get to it. The offensive line. And I might do another video in regards to this more in depth, but I'm going to touch on it briefly here. Cole Strange, Trey Pipkin, and Trevor Penning all need to go. I didn't like the fact that they brought them in the beginning. I didn't like the fact that they brought Trevor Penning back. I was okay with it because we were struggling so bad on the O-line last year that what could be worse with bringing Trevor Penning in for a year. But re-signing him, I thought it was a mistake. He's a penalty machine waiting to happen, and he, quite frankly, doesn't do anything really well except run blocking, in a sense. And even that's questionable in this particular regard because I think he's a power guy, and this is a zone blocking scheme, so I don't think he fits. Trey Pipkin is just an abject disaster. I'm not sure why he's on the team, period, outside of his air quote versatility. He can play guard, he can play tackles. Who cares? He can't do any one of them good. So I don't give a damn if you can learn 2 positions. If you don't play them well, who cares? And Cole Strange just proved to everybody how bad he is. And I've been telling y'all this. Bill Belichick overdrafted this guy in the first round to, air quote, have him be a cog in his offense when he was with the Patriots. I don't know if he hit him or nobody really focused on whether or not he was good or bad with the Patriots while Bill was there. But when Bill left, he got exposed immediately, got cut from the Patriots, was on the practice squad, and then he got picked up practice squad with the Browns of all people. If you're on practice squad with the Browns, that should tell you exactly what we're talking about here. And then he gets picked up miraculously by Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins training camp in 2025, and ended up playing for him, but didn't play well. So he hasn't put on a good season or good film or good tape since he's been in the league. So, and I don't give a damn if you can read a playbook top to bottom. You can recite it to me verbatim. If you scheme, you should be coaching, not playing, because your effort on the field, sir, is completely utterly porous. And I don't see why you're here. We saw you get completely utterly abused by second stringers in certain regards in the 49er game. And I said it before and I said it again. Why there's not more of a competition at the right guard position? Why is he automatically the guy because he knows your system already? Knowing the system, being able to execute the system is a really good offensive lineman. It's 2 different things. It really is. And I'm going to say it again. If you're going to put Cole Strange out there and leave Travis Burke on the bench because he's air quote tackle, it's an utter mistake. It's an utter mistake. I would much rather have a guy that can play tackle, who's smart enough and equipped to play tackle, and folding into guard because that's the easier transition. If you can play tackle, I promise you can play guard in this league. I promise you that. If you can hold up pass blocking pro reps, pass protection reps, the island by yourself at tackle on a consistent basis, I promise you can hold up as a guard. Because it's always the rule that tackles pass block the best, guards are less. So if you can pass block good as a tackle, you'll be damn good as a guard. You'll be damn good as a guard. And yes, if we do lose a tackle, somebody goes out for injury, a couple of plays or a week or whatever, yes, Travis Burke can play tackle as well. But you should not, by any circumstances, play Travis Burke, let him sit on the bench while Cole Strange is giving up sacks left and right. Again, I don't give a damn how well he knows the playbook. He should not be playing right guard for this team, period. He's terrible. So why would you put Travis Burke on the bench because he's young and you want to hold him off in case one of your tackles get hurt and leave Cole Strange to get your quarterback killed? It makes no sense at all. So there should be a conversation of somebody playing right guard and vying for that position and challenging him for that position, because what I saw on tape on Thursday, gross. And you should be ashamed. Mike McDaniel should be ashamed by putting him out there and making Harbaugh believe that he was going to be the answer at right guard. Because I'm not seeing anything better than with Zion Johnson, Mekhi Becton, Trey Pipkin, anybody that in that conversation. I'm not seeing anything better than that. Might be worse. So what you don't want to do is go into the season with your right guard being your weak link, because they're going to highlight it and they're going to exploit it every chance they get. They know the story already. They've seen it, just like I've seen it. So guess what? He's going to get targeted. So if he is a liability, trust and believe they're going to figure out a way to expose him. Like they did with Bradley Bozeman and Zion Johnson last year, and Mekhi Becton for that matter, if he played, because he was hurt all the damn time. So yes. So on my money, my particular space, and I'm going to do a 53-man roster, I guess you could say prediction later on before the cutdowns are done. I'm getting rid of Cole Strange, Trey Pipkin, and Trevor Penning now in favor of Branson Taylor, Travis Burke, Jacob Spooner, and Isaiah Worlds. Now mind you, Isaiah Worlds will probably be on the practice squad because he's hurt. You don't have to worry about him losing him because nobody's going to pick him up because he's hurt. You keep him on the roster, keep him in the system, and you play him next year. But I'm keeping Worlds on the practice squad, and I'm keeping the other 3 as roster spots, period. And I'm getting rid of them other 3, and I'm saying, have a nice life. It is what it is. You want to protect your quarterback, right? Because again, I know y'all don't like Brendan Fiocco, and he said a lot of ill things about the team since he's not been a Charger anymore. But he did say one thing that I echoed, and I said first on this particular podcast. If you've been listening to me for a while, I said that you do not I had a whole video about this. You do not want Justin Herbert to turn into Andrew Luck. He just comes in one season and decide, what, I can't do this shit anymore. And I'm just going to walk away. And you're going to be stuck. And you're going to have no franchise quarterback. And I would argue this, that the damn Colts are still trying to find a franchise quarterback from the time Andrew Luck left. Do you want to be in that second purgatory? Protect Justin Herbert, man. Protect Justin Herbert. And get Cole Strange the hell off this line. Don't replace him with Trevor Penning or Trey Pipkins. I'll be damned. And I'm not even high on Keoti Iwasika either. I'm not. Because again, he's never been a starter in this league. And I'm just going to put it plain and clear from this particular perspective. Cole Strange and Keoti are the same person to me. They have not put on good tape or been a starter in this league for years. You're not gonna see him make me believe that them having a new uniform is gonna change their stripes. That's not where it works. But you've seen Travis Burke put on good film. You've seen Jacob put on good film. You've seen Branson Taylor put on good film. Isaiah Worlds was a All-American like player before he got hurt. I would bake on the upside of these young guys over some retreads that can't seem to get it right and be complete abject disasters in the league so far. That's my rant. That's my take. I don't want to see Cole Strange playing right guard for this team. I don't. Again, it's not my call. But I promise you, I'm going to sit back on Sundays and tell you over and over and over again on this particular podcast that I'm telling you, he's going to be a problem. He's going to get your quarterback hurt. And those guys at the top of this list in reserve roles of that, you replace Cole Strange with Trey or Trevor, you had the same type of problem. Yeah, I need to look at somebody else to play that right guard spot. It has more competition for that for the next 2 weeks. If you don't, Justin Herbert's in danger. I'm telling you right now. But we'll see. We'll see. But that's my rant. That's my video. I know it's a little bit longer today than normal, but I had to get it off my chest because it was burning my brain since Thursday. It really has. So we'll get more content out this week, and we'll talk about the game on Thursday against the Rams and what that's going to look like. It's the final dress rehearsal before the season, so we'll talk about that, how that game should look and what the plans are for that. We'll get into that this week as well, and maybe some more conversations about the O-line. I'm not sure, depending on how I'm feeling. But as always, if you're looking for the Lecture Talk Podcast on eSpace, we're on YouTube, so please hit the subscribe button, support our podcast movement. Hit us up on social media if you have any questions about Chargers news. We can be found on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Gmail. So handle is @ElectricShockPod on all platforms. So please get at us for all things Chargers. But in the meantime, in between time, you got to do one thing, and one thing well. You always got to remember, vote up.